Welcome to this month's online workshop. I am a little bit sorry about what happened last night. Technology is just one of those things. Sometimes you can't fix it. So we're going to jump right in, and this will be a clean recording of last night's online workshop. And there were some questions that came up, and I'll address them now during the recorded clean copy. So hang on tight. And in between, I'm gonna post the samples that go. So we'll start with fall, and then I'll do the fall samples, the alternate samples, this spring. But you get the 4-card class with the PDF for any $35 order in my online store using the host code. And if you bump your order to $50, you obviously get a Celebration $50 reward choice. If you bump your order to $60, I'll be sending you a full bolt of the beautiful vanilla and gold ribbon that we're going to be using in the class. And if you bump your order to $100, you'll get an extra surprise from me. Plus, you'll either get a second Celebration choice, or you can choose one of the $100 offerings that Stampin' Up is offering right now. So hold on tight, and we're going to get started here. Okay, so let's start by taking a look at the Texture Chic Suite. It starts with this awesome designer series paper that is double-sided, and what I did was I took a 2-inch square of each and showed you the front versus the back. So that is all of the designer paper. It is super shiny and beautiful. Okay, so then we'll come back to the stamp set. It has 17 different images, including 7 sentiments. Here, you'll see that at the top, I stamped the bottom piece in Pool Party, and then the top in Evening Evergreen. And then I stamped the flower background, the flower outline, and then stamped them together. I did the same thing for the seashells. And then for the leaves, for the snowflakes, we stamped them in Pool Party, Soft Succulent, and Evening Evergreen, so you could see all of the different colors. We also did that right on the card during the workshop. Here at the bottom, you see that big swoosh, and the thanks come separate, so that's part of the 7 sentiments, as well as that item at the top by the You Are Amazing. There are 2 little elegant blurbs for you to add that shabby chic look to your projects. So next we're going to focus in on the Distressed Gold 12 by 12 specialty paper. I would highly recommend a package of this. It's only $5 and it makes such an impact on your projects. Just a little bit will do you. On this display board, I decided to cut all of the 19 dies using that designer paper, so I can show you the shapes that each of the dies provide. This will give you a nice close look at the dies, as well as showing how you can layer them. You can layer them on top of one another, or you can lay them on top of your stamped images, which we will do during this class. So first, let's talk supplies. If you were making these cards at home, these are the 5 inks that I used: Evening Evergreen, Soft Succulent, Pool Party, Blushing Bride, and Sahara Sand. I also used clear embossing powder for the first card, and I'm going to show you guys a technique that we haven't done on an online workshop before. If you are interested in doing this technique on regular paper, you'll also need a Versamark pad, and I'll explain why in a minute. So here's the first card that we're going to make, and I'll give you a nice close-up of it. It is a thanks card, and it has some heat embossing on the front. In addition, we've cut out 2 of the leaves from the chic dies, the solid leaf, and then the decorative leaf that goes on top. In your packet, you have a bow, a pre-tied knot, a long piece of ribbon, and a little pearl. We put them in a separate bag so that you wouldn't lose them, because even last night under the rubble on my table, I lost my little pearl. So be careful that you don't lose yours. You're going to start by taking out just from the Pool Party layer down. That's my new method. I do like a stack stamping so that you have everything that you need to make this card in a stack. So I'm gonna bring in a little bit of liquid glue for your die cut images. And I'm gonna glue them together with liquid glue. So just a little bit'll do you. I try to keep the dots as flat as possible. That was a bit much, so I'm gonna transplant that dot over. And I'm only gonna add glue like in 3 or maybe 4 places, just where the leaf is a bit thick and will accept the glue. And I'll drop it on top of that other leaf and give it a second to set up. It'll stay wet for a minute. So you might notice I was using this paper because I'm so addicted to it. It is the gold 12 by 12 specialty paper, and it's all in the supply list that I uploaded, and it's in the directions. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach the designer paper right on top using liquid glue. And you notice how I put the glue on this paper and not on this, because I don't want to stick myself to the table or to my card here. Not yet anyway. I can actually attach this to the cardstock, and if you get in the kit to go, this has already been embossed for you. It has the paint, 3D paint embossing folder. So we try to do a lot of the work for you, so you can just have fun putting your cards together. Okay, so I'll attach that down. I just love the deckled rectangles that go with this. It doesn't come with the suite, but I did use them with the class because I think it goes with the shabby chic look so well. And we can even attach that onto our card base. Ooh, I got a little thick with the glue there, so that's going to take a second to set up. But I just use a couple of dots and I can adhere that down. I'm going to set that aside for a moment, and then we're going to do our stamping. So what I didn't have last night that's in that I haven't played with all that much is my new embossing tools. So this is a kit that comes like this. It comes in a box, and I just left it in the plastic so you could see how it was packaged. But it would be a nice way to store it so that nothing gets misplaced. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my powder pal. This is my powder pal. And I'm going to take my embossing buddy, and I'm going to marry them up. So my buddy needs a pal, or my pal needs a buddy. So I'm going to first take any stuff off of the pal. I want to make sure that there's no residual anything on the powder pal before I get started. So I just gave it a swipe. And normally you would swipe regular cardstock with the embossing buddy, but where this is vellum, we're not going to have any problems with our embossing powder sticking. So this is an awesome tool because if there's any flecks that linger, and we can show you what that looks like after, you can use it to brush away any unwanted powder. And then the reverse tweezers so that you don't burn your fingers like I almost did last night. So there we go. That's all the tools that come in that little kit, and it's really super cool. And I love that these are that you're holding the metal, but the tip of it's plastic, so you're not going to hurt your hand. You're not going to get too heated up. Okay, so I'm going to ink up the thanks, and this is only going to stay wet because I'm stamping it on vellum. Normally you'd need something stickier like a Versamark. So I'm going to stamp the thanks off to the right hand side, and I'm going to lay it in my powder pal that's going to catch all the excess powder. I feel much more confident about leaving it out while I heat. And then I'm going to use the tweezers to hold my paper so that I don't burn my hand, and I'm going to heat on setting 2. So there's setting 1, and that's for heat setting ink on its own, and for melting embossing powder it's setting 2, so all the way up. I'm going to let mine heat up for a second. I don't like to point it right at it because I want to make sure that it's nice and even, and I'm going to point it at the word and it will melt the powder, and it's like magic when it happens. You ready? It's the magic powder. For new stampers, it is 100% the most favorite new stamper thing. I'm actually going to lay it down against there and let it. So fun. Okay, so if my paper starts to bend or warp or whatever, you just do the same thing to the other side. So I'm going to heat the other side to make sure it stays flat. And now I didn't have to touch that at all, so my hands are nice and not burnt. That's a thing. And I want to show you another little secret. So last night, my friend Kathy said, well, what do you mean you can emboss in any color? And can you go into the ink pad first? So if I were to take this stamp that has the ink on it from the thanks and go into my Versamark pad, which is nice and clean, I would have green ink forevermore on my Versamark pad. So if I want to do this on cardstock or designer paper, first thing I need to do is clean my stamp. So this is a Stampin' Scrub and Mist, and I'm gonna look for the side with the water drops on it, and I'm gonna spray that side. Sorry, I'm spraying it off the table. I just don't want to make a mess out of the camera. So then I'm gonna clean with that side and dry with that side, and now my stamp is clean and ready to go again. So now I am confident that I can go into my Versamark pads, which means if you were to do this on multiple cards, you'd want to clean in between. But I'm going to ink up in Versamark and ink up with my classic ink. Now it picked up the green. And just for fun, I'm going to stamp it on this designer paper. I can make a card later and post it, I'm sure. But thanks goes right on the designer paper. And I'm going to bring my powder pal back in, and now the embossing powder is going to stick to my words. If I were to go again, I'd need to clean, and again, you go to the Versamark pad first so that you have no funky marks in your Versamark pad. Okay, so I'll put that off to the side and we'll heat again. I love it. It is like whimsical and shabby chic all at the same time. This is going to make a beautiful card. So Kathy, thank you so much for that request. So now it's time to put our powder back in the jar. And I'm going to unscrew the lid from the powder pal, and then I can funnel this back in. And I have a nice paintbrush to help me on my journey. And the paintbrush is also good for getting rid of any unwanted areas that might end up on your stamped images. But almost no waste here. And then I'll give this a wipe out and I'm good to go. If you're watching this on the playback, please let me know what you thought of the powder pal and the new tools. So now I'm going to bring in my Seal Plus, and under the area where the leaf is going to be, I'm going to put adhesive on that side, but this side you can tack to. You're not going to see it really with the Seal Plus. It's pretty cool stuff in that it doesn't really show up all that much on the card, but I do want to tack it there. And then I'm going to add this with liquid glue. I think we'll go that way. I love liquid glue. It gives it a second to set up. It's kind of laying down there. Let's stand it up a little bit more. And then I'm going to go into my embellishment bag and only take the knot out, and that way I won't lose my pearl again. Go fancy. You're going to peel back the protective area of your glue dots. You can ball it up if you want. Ball up a glue dot and use that to adhere your knot, which I already tied, onto your card. And then you'll just use a pair of paper snips to trim the edges on this, and this card's done. This next card is a fun fold, and I'm going to call it a double shutter card. When you go into your packet again, you're just going to want to take from the card front down. So there's another set of Pale Peach underneath. And then let's stamp first. I'm going to use a soft suede ink pad to stamp my Thinking of You. Soft suede is a great color that I use all the time when I want to stamp the closest to gold as possible. So let that set up. I'm gonna flip this over and put dimensionals on the back. And then we're gonna add adhesive to the deckled rectangles. It is so pretty when you stick these together. Peel off the dimensional backs and attach that right on the front. We can go back into our little bag of tricks, and you have a pre-tied bow for me if you ordered the packet, just by placing a small order. Thank you, by the way, for those of you that have already placed your orders. I am getting those packets in the mail tomorrow to you, and I will be sending the PDF. The PDF is done as well. So I'm going to attach that on, and that's going to be the focal point of our card. So the base of this measures 5.5 by 11, and I scored it at 1 1/4, 3 3/8, 5 7/8, and 9 3/4, which makes a pretty cool card that overlaps just a little bit in the middle. Gotta love it. And then I'm gonna take these designer papers, I'm gonna flip 2 of them over, and I'm gonna leave 2 of them face up. Actually, I'm gonna decide which one I like of the designs first. Like, I'd like those 2 to be the ones that are face up. So I'll flip those over, and we will we'll add adhesive to all 4 strips of this designer paper. And now I can adhere these one at a time onto my card front. So here is the one for the center fold. And now for the outside pieces, I'm gonna make it so that 3 sides are equal on the outside, so that when I fold that back, it's gonna look pretty. And the same thing here, when I fold this back, it will be 3 sides equal. And that's it. Isn't that beautiful? And then you can open it and you have lots of room to write. I think this would be an excellent wedding card. In fact, I need to make a wedding card for my big brother. He is, I forgot I didn't put that together yet. He is speaking religiously at a wedding for a couple that he knows that it's getting married, and he wants an extra special card. So maybe I'll use this fold. It's beautiful. So your packet comes pre-scored with the belly band, and to cover that seam, I'm gonna cover the seam on the front because it fits perfect. So I can put my adhesive right here and attach that down. So this is just Seal Plus. And now that's what's gonna hold my card shut. Isn't that beautiful? And that is the second project. Okay, and away we go. Project 3 is featuring seashells. So I have a collage style stamping card for you here. And again, you go to your packet and you're gonna go to the next card base down, which is also petal pink. I brought in the wrong ink pad. Petal pink and Sahara sand is what you need. Now we have that right, and we can get started. So I'm going to pull out all the pieces that need to be stamped on, and we can do them all at the same time. So I am gonna start with the background on this. And there are 2 steps of stamping this seashell. There's a background, and then there's an outline that's more detailed. So I'm gonna use the petal pink across everything that needs to be stamped that's just a background. So this is just the seashells, and I'm randomly stamping them. There's no rhyme or reason, but I will say that I don't want you to be afraid to stamp off the paper. In fact, it looks a little bit better when the seashells aren't all stuck in a box, right? While I have this out, I'm gonna do that seashell, which is gonna be on top. And then I have this ink pad still. This is Petal Pink. I'm going to add these little swoosh marks in between. This gives it the shabby chic look. And it is very forgiving, so don't feel like you have to hit a certain way, or it's just to fill it in and give it that distressed, shabby chic, elegant, beautiful appearance. Okay. So that's everything with this ink pad. Now I'm going to bring in Sahara Sand and do the top. So let's get our seashell detail on the white first. It's kind of cool. It looks different on every color that you stamp it. These are great. And then just copy right on top. And I'm going to stamp the sentiment on this 3/4 inch wide banner, and I'm going to stamp it all the way to the right hand side because we have a decorative seashell that's going to go on the top on the left. I would say on all of these cards, don't feel like you should like wink as much as you want, add some sparkle. I think the more sparkle the better. If you get a little crazy with it, I think it'll be okay. If there was dots, it would be fine. I think this one's running low, so that's why I gave it a little squeeze. You don't want to squeeze Wink Estella normally unless it's really not coming out. And when I squeezed, I didn't see any paint coming down, so it makes me think that this one's running low. This is my #1 staple in my studio. It adds sparkle and shine and beauty. And it will also sometimes blend the colors if you want to watercolor with it. Whoop. Good catch. Okay, so once you get all your stamping done, I laid 3 strips of designer paper down like this. 1, 2, 3. And I put them on so that they were kind of like just on there. Like, I'm not worried about them being straight. In fact, I prefer them to be a bit whimsical because this shabby chic look. So we're gonna purposely, it's like the lived in, beautiful, vintage look, but lived in. So don't be afraid to just lay them down whatever way they go. And then again, this is the, oh, I want to do one more thing first. So you got another piece of ribbon in your pack, and look, my pearl is still in there, so I'm doing okay. I haven't lost it yet. I'm gonna put some Seal Plus adhesive down across the layers and angle this up and off the card, and we're gonna do what we call the Z fold. So I'm gonna lay it down, and then I'm gonna lay it down again, but I really want to end up with a letter Z when I'm done. And this I already put adhesive on, so I can put it across where the other adhesive would be showing, and we'll seal this down. And then I just have to trim my edges. We'll attach this onto the card front like that. And I'll go back and trim the edges in a minute. Now here is my seashell, and I'm gonna give that a second to set up. I got a little bit of liquid glue here, and I'll lay the outline. So these are both dies that come in this set with the bundle on top of each other. So there's a stamped image there. And then there's the decorative gold piece over the top. It's just stunning. I'm gonna add dimensionals to the back. Then just adhere that onto my card front, and then don't forget at the end to trim your ribbon to make a nice sharp finish. Isn't that beautiful? I just love it. Okay, last project, last but not least, is the Snowflake card. Here, let's take a quick look. This is really fun. It's got a peekaboo inside, and we're making our own designer paper here, and we're using the deckled rectangles again. So here is our card front. For this one, I cut my paper to 11 by 4 1/4. scored it in half at 5 1/2 and folded it, and then scored it again at 2 3/4, and this is where you'll fold it back and make a nice line. If you want to use your bone folder, absolutely go ahead. It'll make it sit flat quicker. So let's get to stamping. So for this, I used 3 colors of ink: Pool Party, Soft Succulent, and Evening Evergreen, and only 2 stamps. So I'm going to be careful when I'm stamping. I'm going to start with one color and build up as we get darker, and then I won't have to clean in between just at the end. So we'll start off by stamping some random snowflakes and just snow flurries, right? Because we're putting 3 colors on this, so you want to make sure that there's a little bit of color of each color on each panel, but you don't need to fill it. For the inside of our project, I'm going to stamp 1 snowflake in Pool Party. So pretty. What a great way to finish off this project. And we'll add a little bit of color to the outside project. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 1 down in the corner, and then I'll put the Pool Party ink away. So I'm going to bring in the Soft Succulent ink, and for this one I'm going to add 1 snowflake at the bottom like that, and then I will add a few more to our background here. So here we go. And again, a little bit of color on every panel, so it's okay if you go smack on, or if you, but I do like having them like outside the box as well, because it gives that wallpaper effect. We already did the top of our project, so we're good there. So I'm going to put this ink pad away. And then finally, I'm going to bring in the Evening Evergreen, and we'll finish off our project. So a little bit on the outside. That's going to get covered anyway. I'll stamp 1 right there. Oh, look, I got a little excited. It happens sometimes. How about 1 there? Just kind of fill in. And that's fine. That's going to be covered in the middle anyway. Okay, so I'm going to put that to the side for a second. And this is going to be the focal point, the happy place on our card. And I'm going to stamp that straight and pretty. And then here's our sentiment. This is actually a birthday card. I was saying yesterday on the live, my brother's birthday is in January, so this would be a perfect birthday card for him. Okay, let's bring in that pearl that I didn't lose this time. Go me. And I'm just going to use my, well, I was not sure if I was going to do that, but I am going to use my Take Your Pick to slide it off the transfer, because it makes it so easy just to pick it up. This is a little putty. It doesn't have any adhesive on it, but the adhesive is actually on the pearl. So when I slide it off the transfer sheet, it's easy to place it. It's just something that helps stick your embellishments to it. By the way, after I did get off the live last night, I found my pearl on the table, so it was there. I just misplaced it for a minute. Okay, so fun times. We're going to stick this to one of the green pieces, and that's going to go on the inside of our project. And again, make sure if you have Wink Stella that you're painting your snowflakes with Wink Stella to add some joy, because I think that Wink Stella is joyful. I am going to lay this down upside down and put the adhesive only on the left-hand side of this panel, because that's the piece that we want to stick down. If by accident you put the adhesive across the whole piece, you could seal your card shut because there's no adhesive here. So that's the trick to this. It's a Z-fold. And that is the final project. So thanks for joining me this month for the online workshop. Again, I'm sorry about what happened with the live video. There's some things that can't be helped. I will be here again next month to offer you another online workshop absolutely free. Or if you loved what we did today and you would like a packet, If you place a $35 order, I will send you a packet with the PDF to your email, and I'll send you a packet in the mail. If you spend $50, you'll get a celebration reward choice. If you spend $60, you'll get a full bolt of that beautiful ribbon, the vanilla and gold ribbon for me, not just what you need for your projects. If you spend $100, you get another celebration choice or a $100 choice, because there's different ones if you get to a $100 level. Plus, you'll get an extra surprise in your bag from me. So, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful week. And if you have any questions at all, please reach out and let me know. Bye, guys.